far-left activists and Antifa militants tried to disrupt the concert, throwing water balloons at the crowd.
They weren't throwing water balloons. They were throwing water balloons filled with urine at Christians who stood in the park and were assaulted for the high crime of worshiping Jesus in a public space.
Yes. Well, the Democrat Party, they're like the Romans. You know, they'd go around crucifying everybody and burning your village. The Democrat Party. And the lunatic Democrat mayor in Seattle, who is just a complete nutcase and extremist, Mayor Bruce Harrell, he said, the only reason you're protesting is because I, the mayor of Seattle, am of mixed race. All right. He should be carted away in a straitjacket to a rubber room where he obviously belongs. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell. He defended the city of Seattle's response, and they've got a city councilman there, too. Just amazing. Now, the FBI, in the meantime, Dan Bongino himself, deputy director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, posted on X, "We have asked our team to fully investigate allegations of targeted violence against religious groups," that's Christians, "at the Seattle concert. Freedom of religion isn't a suggestion," Dan Bongino said. And the Democrats then firebombed a Jewish governor's house because that's what the Democrat Party does. They're not on the side of civilization. If you're a Democrat, can you even explain yourself? We had yesterday was Wednesday. It was mailbag day, and we had a hate mail in the mailbag. It was kind of fun. I thought, and the hate mail that these people, they're just they're lashing out at everything around them, and they're crazy, and the facts are not a part of any discussion that they are engaged in. Usually violent discussions. The remarkable stuff. Now, with that said, I want to let's go to the telephones because I see nice people calling in from all over the planet with remarks about this and other big events going on in the world and in our country today. We have another Obama judge that has jumped in to interfere with the Trump administration trying to enforce the law because the Obama judges can always be relied upon to do whatever it is the most extreme left flank of the Democrat Party wishes. And this Obama judge, no exception. Yesterday, wait till I get to that one. But right now, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Karen, calling from Quantico, Virginia, home of the FBI Academy. Karen, you're on the Chris Plante Show. Karen, you're on the Chris Plante Show. Where did Karen go? Here we are waiting patiently for Karen. She's been hanging in there, too, Quantico, Virginia. She wanted to talk about the Seattle demonstration and the fact that they were, it's kind of amazing, throwing what appeared to be water balloons, but they somehow were able to magically fill the balloons that appeared to be water balloons with human urine. That is their own urine, which is a normal practice by the Democratic Party. They've made that an absolutely normal It happens in D.C. Usually it's at police. In Seattle, it was hurling them at Christians and not at the monument to Lenin because you know how they are. Well, I'm very sorry we didn't get to Karen there because I was looking forward to Karen calling from Quantico to talk about she wanted to talk about the balloons that the Democrats are using. But let's go to Jim calling from Naperville, Illinois. Jimmy, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris. Actually, I'm moving my daughter to Purdue University, which is absolutely a little more balanced than, say, the Ivy League schools.
That's good.
Yeah, I know. What a vacation. But you have to go to Indiana, though. You got to get out of Illinois. Hey, but the reason I called is I'm glad you touched on that Dan Bongino is responding with the FBI. I was wondering if the Christians that were attacked are considered a federally protected class, and that AG Pambani would possibly look into federal charges against these people that were arrested or identified as being the aggressors.
Well, I would say that when a violent mob of Democrats, and it's always Democrats, when a violent mob of Democrats attacks a group of people that are hosting a religious event, that it is, I think, very easily defined legally as terrorism, and certainly as a hate crime, and as what else do they like to call it? The hate crime and the religious. But now, if they were Muslims that had been attacked, then the news media would have all their anchor men and anchor women out there and all their anchor transgender people, satellite trucks, and they'd have all because, oh, no, Muslims, a religious minority, were attacked. But when it's Christians, the news media completely ignores the story because they don't go to church. They don't believe in God. Dog is their co-pilot, and they're too busy cheating on their taxes, their expense reports, and their wives to do anything about that. But Jim, I love your taking your daughter out of what you took her out of Illinois. You say what college did you take your daughter out of?
She's normally the ex wanted her to go to University of Illinois, but I'm not taking her to a place that hires the likes of Bill Ayers. You know what I mean? As a professor, and then pays him hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
yeah, William Ayers.
I'm an alumni of U of I, actually. However, we're paying out-of-state tuition to take her to Purdue University, which, for all accounts, appears to be much more balanced. That kind of violence and disruption generally doesn't happen here. You don't see that kind of thing.
Well, you're absolutely right about William Ayers being hired and as a professor and given tenure. He's a terrorist, a communist. He was arrested, convicted, and I believe he was sentenced to decades in jail, prison, and then he got out of it somehow because there was, I think they claim, misconduct by the FBI, if I remember that story correctly. But an SDS, Weather Underground, leftist, radical terrorist involved in major crimes. And when he was freed, along with his wife, Bernadine Dorn, they were both given high-paying, treasured positions at major American universities so they could brainwash and indoctrinate the next generation of leftist terrorists that somehow, I don't know, I mean, again, I don't even want to think about it, much less talk about it out loud, but how do you get to fill a balloon with your own urine? You got to have like a little cat penis or something. How do you get the in a balloon like that? And Phil, I just don't understand that. That sounds agonizingly painful. But maybe for these guys, it might explain everything. I don't know for sure.
Well, maybe they have a penis like a barnacle. You know what I mean? If you look into it.
Yeah, it could be a barnacle, like very hard shell, small hard shell thing that clings to the side of them. It's absolutely appalling. Well, Jim, listen, congratulations on Purdue, and good call getting away from the terrorist groups and university. I've got a niece that graduated from University of Illinois, biomolecular engineering, I think it was. A very smart young woman, but the left has poisoned our educational system because they want people to fill balloons with their urine and throw the balloons at Christians and the police, because that is the Democrat Party today.
Yes, it is, and in fact, I think that they should go after the mayor of Seattle and the whoever is enabling this terrorist group, this terrorist activity.
Well, and I am glad to see
that's beyond the scope. That's beyond the scope of their official duties. You know what I mean?
I'm very happy to see, as you said, Dan Bongino jumping in and saying the FBI is going to get involved because we're talking about denying civil rights and this, this is organized crime. Oh, and also, did you see this? A bunch of them, you probably didn't see this, Jim. Why would you? But they were attacked by a bunch of transgender people who were mostly big men dressed as women. And a number of them, I think, never missed a meal. A number of them have never missed a meal. And they were very large, hefty, rotund people, right? And they violently attacked, while dressed as ladies, these men pretending to be women violently attacked the nice Christian people who want to defend children, while these lunatics want to desecrate children in every imaginable way. And they got a nickname. The big guys dressed as ladies got a nickname. Do you know what the nickname is, Jim, for these big people that attacked the Christians?
No, I don't. You're gonna educate me.
They're calling them because they violently attacked in an orchestrated way, dressed as ladies. And they're large. They're calling them Meal Team 6. Meal Team 6.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that they're so wimpy that they can't throw a brick.
Yeah,
you know
they can only throw.
Otherwise, they would have brought bricks in. I'm sure. You're right.
Balloons with their own bodily fluids expelled. Aren't they amazing? Yeah, the Democrat Party, they are something. Jim, thanks for calling in, and thanks for being normal.
Oh, I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
You sound like you're there.
It's all. Yeah. I mean, we all are not perfect, right? But
that's true.
I'm a former Democrat in college years, and saw the light when I saw how radical these so-called environmental groups were.
Yeah.
And how they were leftists, they were Marxists.
Yeah.
And that's when, that was back in the Reagan days when Reagan introduced the world to a new path. And he changed my mind, and I believe that's around the time you moved into conservative, or I shouldn't say conservatism, but more towards the Republican side.
Yeah, heck, no, you can say conservatism, absolutely. And I'm sitting here nodding enthusiastically. Jasmine is looking at me smart. You can stop nodding. She's like, you're nodding like a dog. And I'm sitting here nodding in agreement with you because I went through the exact same thing that you did, and so many millions of us. Look, Ronald Reagan used to be a Democrat. I used to be a Democrat. You used to be a Democrat. Donald Trump used to be a Democrat. Elon Musk used to be a Democrat. There are millions and millions of. I don't know why anybody would be. You have to be mentally ill at this point to be a Democrat, going around filling balloons with your own urine and throwing them at Christians because they want to defend the genitals of children that the Democrats are attacking. As though their only known source of food. These people are demented, I got to say. But, Jim, great call. Thank you. Thanks for the call. Nice talking to you. Now, let's get to the next lunatic Democrat effort here. And we've got another one. Boy, we have another one because these people on MSDNC, they have a woman there who's a supposed journalist, but she's not really a journalist at all. Her name is Alicia Menendez. Alicia Menendez was hired by NBC Fake News because she's the daughter of the Democrat criminal senator, Bob Menendez. You know, gold bars Bob, with the gold bars in his house, and his wife got the Mercedes from then, and every pocket in his closet was filled with cash, stacks and stacks of folded cash. And on MSDNC, Alicia Menendez was in there very angry and it goes back to Dan Bongino and the FBI. And I'm going to update you on this because this is the news media and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, when the FBI announces they're going to investigate things like who planted those 2 pipe bombs January 5th before January 6th, as you might imagine, at the DNC headquarters and the RNC headquarters. And why hasn't the FBI found out who that was? Here's video of him with a timestamp on his cell phone, which is a cell phone, and there's a cell phone tower. I could get to the bottom of that. And which Democrat leaked the decision from the Supreme Court leading to the attempted assassination of Supreme Court justices. And the Democrats have no interest in getting to the bottom of that. Wait till you hear what NBC Fake News is doing on this. I've got that for you coming up. Thank you, Jim. You know, Father's Day is coming up real fast. What do you get the man who insists that he doesn't need anything? Well, I've got the answer for you this time around, especially if you're talking about his health. You know, health is good. I've got friends whose dads have had strokes and dealt with atrial fibrillation, AFib. That's why I think the Cardia Mobile 6L, Cardia Mobile 6L, is one of the smartest, most thoughtful gifts that you can give any adult man. It's the most advanced personal EKG that you can buy. FDA cleared to detect atrial fibrillation, a leading cause of stroke, of course. It records medical-grade heart data anytime, anywhere, right to your phone. 6 views of your heart, which is, by the way, 6 times the data you get off of any smartwatch, and it's a fraction of the cost of your smartwatch, too. This is the kind of gift that Dad will actually use, and it gives you peace of mind, too. Might actually save a life. For a limited time right now, Cardia Mobile is giving 10% off to any of my listeners. That includes you, of course. All you have to do is go to Cardia.com. That's Kardia.com. Or go to Amazon and use the code 106L-PLANT. That's the device, 6L. 106L-PLANT. 106P-L-A-N-T-E. That's Cardia Mobile 6. Cardia Mobile 6L, sponsored by AliveCor. Yes, sir. Good Father's Day gift. Good Father's Day gift. All right, I've got more crazy Democrats and media people coming up. Is there anything they do that isn't insane and usually violently, criminally insane? We remain at 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. All right, I'm going to get to this MSNBC thing, MS-13 DNC thing in a minute. But right now, let's go back to the telephones and talk to the American people, Michael. Let's go to Christian, calling from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Christian, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris. Fayetteville, home of Fort Bragg again, proudly. Just want to call about a story I don't know if you heard about. There's down in Texas, this fantastic young lady. She's just got accepted to the Air Force Academy, and she was black, so she was female, and she was on a kayak, and apparently two Venezuela, or maybe it was one Venezuela lady, legal immigrant, she hit and run and killed the young black lady. And so the Venezuela immigrant and her boyfriend or whatever, they hit and run, and he helped her escape, and they're both, in jail, presumably. So it presents a problem because you just changed a couple things. If instead of being two illegal immigrants, they were two MAGA red hat wearing white guys, oh my God. But now what happens? I mean, do they scream and cry about us kicking out these two Venezuelan hit and runners?
You're 100% right, Christian, and it's two illegal aliens, a male illegal alien, a female illegal alien, on a jet ski, ran over the nice young lady, accepted to the Air Force Academy, and killed her, and the news media is ignoring it completely. Now, our beloved audience, our well-informed, intelligent, knowledgeable audience, is way ahead of Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper doesn't know anything about this story, but this is a classic Biden Democrat story. Americans being killed, great Americans being killed by illegal aliens all over the place. The news media buries the story and ignores the murder. The Fox News people have the headline, ICE identifies jet ski suspects in Air Force cadet candidate's death as illegal immigrants. Both suspects from Venezuela were previously encountered at the border and released on their own recognizance, ICE says, because that was Joe Biden's policy, so Americans are being killed all over the place, and the blood is all over Joe Biden and the Democrats. The suspect and her alleged accomplice linked to the jet ski hit-and-run death of an Air Force cadet candidate over Memorial Day weekend have been identified as illegal immigrants, according to Immigration Customs Enforcement officials. During a Wednesday news conference, that's yesterday, in Grapevine, Texas, Joshua Johnson, acting field director of Immigration, Customs Enforcement, and Emergency Removal Operations in Dallas, Texas, confirmed that 21-year-old Dakerlin Alejandro Gonzalez and 21-year-old Mako Coelho Perozo are both illegal immigrants from Venezuela. And, the Biden administration gave special dispensation to all illegal aliens from Venezuela because they were sending all their gang members here. And the Democrats want more murder and death because they're the left. Gonzalez was allegedly operating the jet ski that struck and killed 18-year-old Ava Moore on Sunday at Grapevine Lake. Moore was a United States Air Force Academy cadet candidate and part of the U.S. Air Force Academy's class of 2029, according to the Academy. My understanding is that both the individuals crossed the southern border in 2023 or 2024, Johnson said. That's under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their policies. They were arrested at the time of entry, processed on a notice to appear, and then released on their own recognizance, because that's the Democrat Party's plan. He added that ICE has lodged immigration detainers against the suspects, and that after the criminal justice proceedings against them in Texas are complete, they will be processed for removal. That hardly matters to this young woman. Air Force Academy cadet, future Air Force officer, wonderful young woman, clean, living a great life, killed by these illegal aliens. Captain, and honestly, they were captured and they were just released because that's the Democrat Party's plan. Remember, Barack Obama promised the fundamental transformation of America and warned us that we better teach our children to learn Spanish because he knew what they had in store.
Instead of worrying about whether immigrants can learn English, they'll learn English. You need to make sure your child can speak Spanish.
Yeah, because that's what we need, because it's all about the fundamental transformation of the United States of America. The Democrats have a long-term plan, like Communist China and ISIS.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
And the crowd went wild. So wait a minute. So now we'll go through the legal process, and they'll get presumably years in prison, manslaughter, hit and run, illegal aliens. And after we pay through the nose for years to incarcerate them, then we'll talk about deporting them. And by then the Democrats will have reopened the borders so they can come back and do it again. Captain Joseph Quintero, game warden, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, announced that Gonzalez has been charged with second-degree felony manslaughter. Sure. Perozo has been charged with collision involving damage to a vehicle and hindering apprehension because they fled the scene. Both misdemeanors, really, when this great young woman died. Those are misdemeanors, huh? After allegedly driving away from the scene with Gonzalez. He said both were arrested in Dallas on Tuesday. They fled, and that the relationship between them remains unclear. I don't really care what the relationship is. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton first announced that the pair were in the country illegally on Tuesday night. Ken Paxton is one of the good guys. He's running for the Senate, I think, in the state of Texas, too, and he's a great attorney general in the state of Texas where they actually enforce the law, crazy as that sounds.
Why do you feel this case warrants the death penalty?
Well, I don't necessarily think it does. We're going to see what charges are actually brought. Those are all brought locally. Whether it warrants the death penalty will be up to the prosecutors, and certainly we're going to support them in their efforts to prosecute to the full extent of the law.
Now, I suspect that this will not be a death penalty case, being a manslaughter case, but it should be noted that the governor of Texas, the great Greg Abbott, did threaten the death penalty, and he's sending a message to the illegal aliens everywhere because Governor Abbott tweeted out, "Welcome to Texas. Here's your death penalty." Now, that's pretty good and blunt, and I love the rhetoric, and it should be the message to illegal aliens that are killing people in the United States of America. If you're here illegally and you kill this wonderful young woman, a squeaky clean young woman, Air Force Academy, headed to a career in the United States Air Force, wonderful person, and now she's dead on Memorial Day weekend. No sense of irony with the left. Aren't they amazing? That's a pretty amazing story, and a terrible, horrible story. This wonderful young woman killed by illegal aliens, waved into the country by Joe Biden. Oh, you're here early. Oh, just go on in. They just wave them in. Here's a notice to appear, but, you know, we know you're never going to appear. Now let's get back to the idiot Democrats, because these people are really something. MSDNC, MS-13 DNC, and they've got a fanker there. That's a fake anchor. She's just another Democrat Party apparatchik. Her name is Alicia Menendez. Her father, Senator Robert Menendez, also known as Gold Bar Bob, Gold Bars Bob, because he was arrested for his having a house full of gold bars and cash filling every pocket of every jacket and every pair of pants he had in every closet in his big house that he bought, amazingly, with his government salary. Isn't that great? And Menendez was found guilty because he's a crook, and he was sentenced to prison, right? But somehow they never go to prison. Isn't that true? They never go to prison. They're convicted, and isn't it amazing? It's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? But then they hired his daughter at NBC Fake News, Bob Menendez, Gold Bars Bob, and the pockets full of cash. And he was convicted. I know he was convicted. But then what happened to him? Is it probably nothing? I'm guessing probably nothing. And his wife had that black Mercedes that was given to her as a gift. They're taking cash and gold bars and Mercedes-Benz. And then the punishment is NBC News hires his daughter, Alicia Menendez. And she's not only a reporter, she's an anchor. Isn't that great? And they usually pay him $1 million or millions of dollars to be an anchor and have your show on MSDNC, you know, like the Reverend Al Sharpton and great journalists like that. Pretty amazing stuff. But on MSDNC, Alicia Menendez, the daughter of Gold Bars Bob, very angry that the FBI has announced, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, that the FBI will be looking at, reopening if necessary, the questions surrounding the pipe bomber, January 6th. January 5th, a guy on camera talking on his cell phone leaves a pipe bomb at DNC headquarters where Kamala Harris was going, and at RNC headquarters, and they could never locate him. They could never figure out who was on the cell phone in Washington, D.C. on video with a timestamp and a locator and the cell phone towers. And never mind that. And the cocaine in the White House. And we saw the picture. Oh, there are no cameras in the White House. How could we possibly know who put the bag of cocaine in the locker at the White House? And here is the fake journalist, Alicia Menendez on MSDNC.
FBI Deputy Director says the Bureau will pour resources into cases including Supreme Court leak and cocaine at the White House. The fact that this is their priority, what does that tell you? And what is the cost of the FBI asking to spend its resources on cocaine at the White House, on the Supreme Court leak? What is going to be lost in that redirection?
Well, I don't know. We should probably use the money imprisoning these two illegal aliens from Venezuela that killed the Air Force Academy cadet. They think the money would be better spent that way for the illegal aliens. And she's indignant. She's outraged. Oh, yeah, they're going to look into the Supreme Court leak of the Dobbs decision overturning Roe versus Wade, which led to a Democrat showing up at the home not far from this radio station of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh with a gun and magazines of ammunition and kidnapping tools and burglary tools to break into his home, was planning on murdering the Supreme Court Justice. And, you may remember that the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, was threatening the Supreme Court justices in front of the Supreme Court, yelling with a mob of violent, criminally insane Democrats. And no consequences for the Lizard King.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch. I want to tell you, Kavanaugh. You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
And a short time later, the gunman showed up at Brett Kavanaugh's home. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. But no accountability for Democrats because the filthy, corrupt political party. And they get away with murder and lying under oath to Congress all the time, and the usual, and waving all the illegal alien gang members in to kill Air Force Academy cadets. A nice young black woman who's now dead, and her family burying her this week because of Joe Biden and the Biden administration policies, but paying no attention to that. And you got to find, and I've always, my prediction was the leak from the Supreme Court was an Ivy League educated female clerk in Sonia Sotomayor's office that leaked the Dobbs decision that led to riots and mayhem and the protesting at the Supreme Court justices' homes and the threats on their lives and the lunatic with the gun and the kidnapping tools. And all of that is no big deal when the Democrats do it. But January 6th, a window was broken, I think. I think somebody broke a window. But they shot and killed, again, another Air Force veteran, 12 years in the Air Force. A nice young woman shot and killed her at point-blank range. No non-lethal force, no taser, no pepper spray, no nightstick. Just shoot and kill her. And the Democrats applaud that to this day because they're not on our side. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, just outraged that you'd look into the leak of the Supreme Court documents that led to untold amounts of mayhem, and the January 6th pipe bombs at the DNC headquarters and the RNC headquarters. Gosh, we can't get to the bottom of that one. We sure can't figure out who leaked the Dobbs decision. They know the reporter and the news organization it was leaked to. You can't just check his text messages or his phone calls or his email, which the Obama administration did all day long with James Rosen and the Associated Press, and they spied on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and they spied on James Rosen and his parents in New York. They spied on James Risen, no relation, of the New York Times. But you can't. They looked at all their emails and cell phone and their texts and their phone calls and everything else, but not to get to the bottom of this leak that led to would-be assassin and violence and threats. No, couldn't get to the bottom of that. Isn't that amazing? And, of course, the bag of cocaine in the White House. Because, we can't figure that out. Gosh, good thing it wasn't a thermonuclear device in the White House, because we wouldn't be able to figure that out either. Gosh, who could have known? Isn't that amazing? And I've got James Comey as well. Just amazing stuff. James Comey was asked, he was on CNN. That was on MSDNC. But here is the crooked former FBI director, James Comey, who couldn't get to the bottom of any of those things when he was FBI'd. Oh, I couldn't. Gosh, I don't know. Maybe you should go to investigations class or something, because I'd find out. But never mind that. James Comey on CNN. Yeah, why would you investigate pipe bombs at the DNC headquarters, the RNC headquarters, or cocaine in the White House, or the event that led to the death threats and against Supreme Court justices?
First of all, I assume that the investigation of the pipe bomb that was found on January 6th was never closed. The FBI never closes such a thing.
Yeah, so good job.
I guess it means they're going to focus on it more.
Oh.
And as to the other things, I thought the Supreme Court marshal had investigated the leak of the opinion, the draft opinion. I don't know what the FBI's role is there. Cocaine at the White House, I thought the Secret Service investigated that, so I don't follow it.
I don't follow that. What am I, the head of the FBI or something? Gosh, didn't see any of that. I can't believe that. Oh, I assume that's still, 5 years later, they're still looking at, hey, who put those pipe bombs? Oh, it's never closed. Yeah, they're going to get back to us on the Kennedy assassination soon, too. These people, and that's James Comey. He should be in cuffs. And I don't mean like Donna Karen cuffs. I don't mean French cuffs. Gosh, I assume that's still open. That's great. Completely meaningless and irrelevant, but thanks. And he's talking to Wolf Blitzer, and Wolf is nodding in agreement. Yeah, that's good. No follow-up like, we didn't catch the pipe bomb. So how many years, you take decades to get to the bottom of the pipe bomber investigation? You say it's still open years and years later. You are all so fired. God, you're fired. And the media loves him. They give him a tongue bath every day. Just amazing. You know, big wireless, the big cell phone people, they're pulling one over on all of us. It's time to switch to Consumer Cellular. Listen, I've got Consumer Cellular. I'm telling you, same fast, reliable, nationwide, big wireless coverage without the big wireless costs, without the big bucks. But it's not just about saving money on my bill every month. It's also about not being used and abused by the big cell phone carriers. Do you even know how much data you use every month? You know that most people over 50 and up use less than 8 gigabytes of data every month, but these big wireless companies, they shove you into an unlimited plan where you pay the maximum amount because, you need to cover the costs of younger people who are constantly on their phones 24 hours a day. But you don't use all that data. Consumer Cellular set me up with a service and a phone, the most amazing phone and camera ever. And it's incredibly easy to switch. You call, you speak to an actual human being. That actual human being is based right here in the United States and not in another galaxy far, far away. Not a bot either. Real human beings, incredibly helpful. And it only takes about 20 minutes. So give them a call and make the switch today. Call them at 800-760-0702. That's 1-800-760-0702. Yes, sir. Yeah, Comey is like, oh, gosh, Wolf, that investigation of the pipe bomb, that's still open. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, who shot Abraham Lincoln? You still looking into that? How many years later is this now? And Wolf Blitzer sits there nodding approvingly. Oh, well, that investigation's still open. And the Supreme Court, somebody else looked into that. And the cocaine, oh, yeah, that's already been looked into. We never got answers. But Wolf sits there nodding, and Comey sits there lying.
You've got to help us. We've tried nothing, and we're all out of ideas.
Got another lefty mayor in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Turns out he's an African immigrant, and he was in cahoots with a black talk show host on the radio, a media personality, and they both faked a hate crime.